What's up guys, my name is Wouters and today I'm teaching you 15 beginner longboard tricks. I already made a video about this back in the day. Today I'm doing a new version. Let's just get started. Okay, so first trick is a Ghostride. Now I really recommend this trick if you're a beginner because it looks very cool and it's also just very fun to do. And for me it's the easiest trick that I recommend to learn. But what you do is you're standing in your regular position. Now some people put their right foot forward, some people put their left foot forward. This means you're either goofy or regular. I'll split the video, so whichever foot you put forward, whichever stance you are, you can look at the correct one. Okay, so what you're doing is you're riding in your normal stance. You're gonna go through your knees. Your front foot is gonna go over your back foot onto the ground. And then either you do one step on the ground, you jump back on, or you do 2 steps or 3 steps. When you're learning it, you can take some extra steps and progressively go to only 1 step and hop back on the board. And you can either hop on in switch position, as you can see here, or you can hop on in your regular position if switch is hard for you to land.
Switch position.
Switch position. And yeah, then you should be good to go with the Ghostride. Next trick you want to learn is a fakie or a nollie pivot. So it's now standing on the nose of your board and making a 180 rotation with the board following below you. Very important for this one is the way your shoulders are positioned. So we're gonna start once again going through our knees. We're gonna do this with every longboard trick you want to do is beforehand go through your knees so you're balanced and you're stable. For this trick you want to wind up your shoulders. You can put your arms out and start making a rotation with your shoulders. Now if you put your weight while you're rotating on the foot that's on the nose, your nose is gonna lift the board up. And if you do it in sync with your rotation, the board is doing a 180. And then it's just a matter of practicing so you can end the rotation. Once again, once you landed the trick, you want to go to your knees again so you're stable. Yeah, this is the first trick that I learned personally and I really recommend it for any beginners that are out there. So fakie or nollie pivot. Hell yeah. So next trick is a fakie or nollie Shuvit. So for fakie and nollie Shuvit, it's kind of similar to a pivot, but now we're again upping the trick. So now instead of making the 180 with both our board and our shoulders, we're only doing it with our boards. So we're standing on the nose again, whichever way is easiest for you. We're once again winding up our shoulders, but not as much as for a pivot. We're basically starting a pivot motion, but you want to keep your shoulders in a neutral position. So you want to try to make the rotation, but try to keep your shoulders straight. And once your board is around that 90 degrees angle, you want to hop, jump up, and try to land back on your board. So a very big tip on learning this one is to first start with a very long pivot and then a small jump back onto the board. Because for a lot of people that jump back on is the hard part. So if that's the case for you, then making a long pivot onto the Shuvit motion is the best tip for you. And then once you are able to land that, I recommend just making the pivot shorter and shorter so you're essentially making more and more of a pop like a Shuvit and more of a jump rather than a long rotation into a Shuvit. So that's a good way to learn it. Really recommend this one. It gets you familiar with jumping and jumping back onto the board and stuff like that. Next trick is a cross step. Cross step is a dance step. To do a cross step, you want to first make a toe side carve. So it carve in your forward chest direction toe side. After that, you're leaning backwards and you're stepping your back foot over your front foot. To start the trick, you want to make sure you start it all the way at the back of the board. Gives you plenty of space in front of you to actually do the cross step. And then after the first step, you put your foot that's on the back in front. This can be the hardest step. You're mostly not familiar with standing on that foot and that can throw you off. Something that can help you with that is to learn to push switch. So if you're pushing around, like when you're going to get some donuts at the bakery, try to go there, pushing with your other foot forward. Once you've done this, very fun trick and very smooth to to do. Next one is a 180 step. 180 step is also a very nice dance step, and this one's actually very practical as well because it helps you go from your normal position into a fakie position where you're standing on the nose of the board. So you're just gonna simply put your front foot on the side of the board. Shoulders are going to do the 180-degree rotation. What also helps with the hand steps is to string your arms out, helps you with your balance. And just like that, make the 180 and you're standing on the nose of the board. That's the 180 step for you. And you can make it look very stylish if you get this one down well. So very much recommended. Next up, Ghostride Kickflip. So for the Ghostride Kickflip, we're doing the Ghostride with a flip. Hands the trick. Ghostride Kickflip.
Hands the trick.
Fuck. Oh my god. So this time around, we're starting off the same, going to our knees, hopping on over our back foot onto the ground. And then with your next step, go underneath the board and try to flip the board. So if you look like this, that's what you want to do. You can practice this by just standing on the ground without riding and practicing the flip itself. First step is you can practice just the flip itself. There we go. There we go. There we go. And then next step, you can do the same but jumping onto it. So this part of the trick, and then if you get the Ghostride down, if you get these down, you should be able to Ghostride Kickflip. And this looks very cool and it's just a lot of fun. It's not how you do it, Yella. I just gave you the tips, Yella. Side notes, you can do this in a couple of ways. The easiest one for me is to jump over on the front of the board and then do 2 steps and then flip the board with my back foot. You can also jump over on the back of the board, then do like 3 steps and do it with your front foot, or just 1 step and flip it with your front foot. There are a lot of ways you can do this. There's no right or wrong. It's just what's most fun for you and what feels best. Next up is a frontside pivot, also from fakie or nollie. It's the same as a normal pivot, but to the other side. It's a lot harder, in my opinion, to do than a normal pivot, but still, it's a very nice one to learn. It's mainly harder because you don't see where you're going. You're turning on like the side of your back. That's why it's called frontside. It's very logical skateboard reasoning. Anyways, that makes it harder, but it's a good way of helping you gain some confidence. And once you can do this one, there are a lot of new possibilities that are open for you. So frontside pivots, really recommend it. And just practice it, wear a helmet and safety gear, and you're good to go. Trick number 8 is a Peter Pan. So Peter Pan is a dance step. It's related to a cross step. It's kind of a mix of a cross step and a 180 step. This time around, you actually want to just do a cross step with your feet straight, like in the direction of the board. Once again, stepping over your board, putting your front foot on the side of the board like a 180 step. And then with your other foot, you're putting it next to that foot. And like that, you are effectively doing a Peter Pan. And then you're just finishing it off by going back to your normal position. It's a very fun step. You can kind of do this endlessly. The tip, if you want to keep going, is to start really at the back of the board and also to make a little hop and try to put your foot in like the same position as it was. So you're shoving it back while you're jumping. And this way you can just keep on going. Have fun with it. Oh, dude. Tricks for trees, man. So Hans, how did you break your leg actually? Well, I was making a longboard trick tip video. Next trick is a tree flip, frontside 360 Tigerclaw. So for the frontside 360 Tigerclaw, they're very fun tricks to learn when you're beginning to longboard. I remember I was very fond of them. So yeah, I have to get out. Very important is how you hold your hand before grabbing the board. For this one, you want to hold your hand in like this position, like pointing to your knee, like your front knee. And having your fingers open. Then you pop the board and you grab it like that. So that's very important, the way you grab your board. And then you want to grab it somewhere in the middle of the board towards like the upper part of it. At the moment when you are popping it, already have your shoulders turning. So you want to turn a 180 with your body. So you're already initiating it before you pop it. So you can make a heel side carve. and pop it like that. Once you popped it, your back foot is going onto the ground. You grab the board and make the 360. Now the 360 isn't going to be hard. You're already giving the board the momentum with your pop. So you don't have to make the 360 with your hands, you're just guiding it. So you're grabbing it like this, as I explained. And then you're opening it up, your arm as you go. And then just throw it underneath you and hop back on. And that's a frontside 360 Tigerclaw for you. So, next and last one, number 10, is a honey butter. It's a very fun trick. It's an old school one, and I think it's very much underrated. It's a bit harder perhaps than other ones, but it's very much worth it. So, I'm gonna walk you through it. This time around, you have your hands open like this. So you can grab the nose as such. So you're grabbing the nose, stepping off of the board, dragging the tail over the ground. And you already have the board like this. Now in this position, we're going to the second phase of the trick, and you can practice this just standing still. And now you're gonna rotate your body like in this direction. So you're doing this thing. So you keep your foot on the tail and you're rotating on the tail as you go. A good tip is to put your foot like in the middle of your tail, so it's gripped around it, not like this or this. In the middle of the tail, and you just put your front foot on it as you're turning. If you can practice this, then you're already halfway there. Once you're doing this, you just have to let the board go and then practice like landing on the board itself. For the landing, now it's very useful to really go through your knees. So you're stable and you got a lot of steeze.
Steeze it out.
You steeze it out as you go. So that's a honey butter. Great trick, very underrated, and I think each beginner can practice this trick. You do want to practice it on good asphalt because it's gonna shred your tail if you're practicing it. So I recommend practicing it on like concrete, like smooth concrete, and then it doesn't really rip your tails, and you're good to go. So those were 10 beginner longboard tricks. I hope you enjoy them. Let me know if you guys got questions on these. Put them in the comments. I always see people helping each other out, which is also awesome. I got more trick tips on most of these tricks, so I will put some links down below to the older video, as well as some other videos of mine and of other people as well, to help you learning longboard beginner tricks. I'm also gonna continue the trick series and go on to some harder tricks again. We already did some of them, so I'll also link those below. If these are too easy for you, there you go. And then most of all, I just hope you guys have a lot of fun with them. Hope you guys enjoy longboarding. If you guys are new to longboarding, welcome to the community. Hope you guys enjoy it, have fun. Also, merch is out. Go check it out in the link in the description. Support your boy. And thanks to Jelle for filming. He makes crown boards, aka the most beautiful and best longboards in the game. Just the homie, the real one. So thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next one. Ciao.
It's called B-roll.
Ja?
Ja.
Bonus step.
Je zit niet in focus.
Bonus.
Wacht.